Let me tell you, if you ever want to know what it feels like to have your sanity tested by the world's most persistent control freak, just try buying yourself a little slice of peace at the very edge of HOA territory and see what happens. I didn't set out looking for war. I promise you that I was just hunting for quiet, hoping to disappear out past the reach of those pastel mailboxes and group emails about grass length. But oh, I picked the wrong spot for peace and the absolute worst woman to tangle with. You ever see a tornado wearing a pantsuit? That's Karen Browning. She picked the wrong guy, though. Because if you spend 15 years wrangling bureaucrats and running federal inspections, you learn not to blink first. When I landed in Colwood County, Washington, I thought I was finally out. Out of the system, out of the politics, out of the daily grind of forms and rules, and someone always looking over your shoulder. Just me, my dog Rex, a rusted-out mailbox, and an acre of woods so thick you could hear yourself breathe. I swear even the birds sounded relieved to be away from the suburbs. Day 2, I put up a sign, private drive, no trespassing, not subject to HOA regulations, right under my name on the mailbox. If you've ever had to deal with bullies, you know you don't give them an inch. That sign was my line in the sand. I barely had the bolts tightened when I saw her coming up the drive. Power walk sharp blazer clutching a binder like it held the 10 Commandments. No handshake, just that tight little smile, and you must be the new resident. No question about it, she had me pegged for trouble before I even said a word. She introduced herself as the president of the Willow Pond Estates Homeowners Association, which she delivered like she was expecting a salute. I didn't give her one. I told her flat out, "This property isn't part of your association." She blinked a sort of short circuit in the face, like reality didn't line up with her playbook. She gave me the old area of interest speech, waving her hand like she was about to annex my land by pure willpower. I almost laughed, almost. Area of interest isn't a legal term, but you'd be surprised how many people fall for it. She rattled off a list: water lines, road usage, community standards, told me my home's facade was unapproved, my trailer an eyesore, my dog in violation of the 2-dog rule. I pointed at Rex. That's one. She didn't laugh, not even a fake smile. Instead, she started leafing through her binder like she was going to hand me a subpoena, but I cut her off. I'm not joining, I'm not paying dues, and I'm not submitting to a committee of clipboard warriors. She spun around, but not before warning me, sweet as molasses, that I'd be hearing from the community board. And so began the siege. 3 days later, an envelope showed up. No stamp, no return address, just resident in block letters. Violation notice, unapproved facade, non-conforming trailer, excess canine presence, incompatible mailbox aesthetic. I nearly spit out my coffee. The best part: failure to comply within 10 business days may result in disciplinary committee action. What was that, a firing squad of realtors? I sent it all to my lawyer, Marcus, who just replied, "Complete nonsense. You're not under HOA governance. Keep documenting everything." So I did. Set up extra cameras, floodlights, motion sensors, the whole 9 yards. Next thing I know, some woman in yoga pants is filming my house. Karen is slapping more violations on my mailbox, and random debris starts showing up in my driveway, broken fence, slats, toilet seats, you name it. I snapped photos, bagged evidence, and watched as Karen began orchestrating her community review parade from the edge of the trees. Then came the whisper campaign. First, an old guy in a golf cart. "You planning to comply with expectations?" he mumbled. Then strangers filming my property, HOA zombies doing drive-bys. It's like they thought peer pressure would break me. Wrong guy. I tacked up more signs, kept the cameras rolling, and framed my plat map right next to my coffee pot. But here's where things twisted. One night, my cameras picked up 2 figures sneaking around my fence, dark clothes, flashlights off, jiggling the side gate, and slapping a sticker on my post. "This property is under review. Pending community action." I sent everything to Marcus and the sheriff's tip line, but the deputy just shrugged. "Probably kids." Sure, kids with a penchant for faux legal jargon. Then one morning, Mark showed up Vietnam vet 60s khakis in a truck that had seen more road than most city SUVs. Karen's telling folks you're squatting, he warned. Tried the same stunt with a couple from out of state. Drove them out. I just nodded, told him I wasn't leaving. Watch your gait at night, he said. She's relentless. That night, cameras caught another attempted break-in. No damage, just intimidation. This was coordinated now. Not long after Karen returned flanked by two HOA board members in pastel cardigans trying to inspect my property. I met them halfway, arms crossed, Rex at my side. They babbled about shared infrastructure and community standards. I shut them down cold. Not your HOA, not your inspectors, not your land. When they started taking pictures of my house, I stepped forward, just enough to send the woman scuttling back. They left, but I could feel it. They weren't done. A day later, I found a formal letter duct taped to my door. Notice of termination of residency complete with fake seals, law firm letterhead, and threats of legal action if I didn't vacate within 72 hours. Marcus called it in 2 seconds, total fraud. File a report and escalate. The county cadastral office sent me the property history. My parcel had never not once been under HOA jurisdiction. But Karen wasn't playing by the rules, she was inventing her own. Flyers popped up in the neighborhood, community in danger. Rogue resident defies HOA. My neighbor Mark sent screenshots of Facebook rants where Karen painted me as a sovereign citizen and a threat to property values. Someone had even dug up my past as a federal agent. That's when I knew she'd gone too far. I doubled down, more cameras, more locks, formal complaints to the sheriff. One Deputy Ramos finally took it seriously. What you're describing is organized harassment. If they're using fake legal documents, that's a felony. She advised extra precautions. Good call, because what came next was straight out of a bad TV movie. Came home from a hardware run and found 2 men in reflective vests standing by a white SUV, radios clipped to their belts. Another was up on my porch. My private property sign was gone, replaced by community property, no unauthorized access. Karen herself showed up, sunglasses and all, and tried to evict me, claimed the house was under administrative reassignment. I didn't even get mad. I just started filming, called the sheriff, and made damn sure everyone heard me say the words forced occupation, attempted theft, armed individuals posing as HOA enforcement. When the cruisers rolled up, everything shifted. The HOA's fake security guards wilted. Karen kept pushing her fantasy bylaws enforcement council's sphere of jurisdiction until the sergeant cut her off. Ma'am, those bylaws don't apply unless there's a signed covenant. Do you have one? She didn't. I handed over the plat deed, everything notarized. The officers checked the footage, saw the physical altercation, and one by one the dominoes fell. Karen and her henchmen got cuffed and loaded into patrol cars, still yelling about protecting the community. Charges: trespass, forgery, conspiracy, impersonation, obstruction. The fake law firm didn't exist. The sheriff's office opened a full case. One of the guards flipped, detailed how Karen called it a reclamation action and promised protection by precedent. Turns out she'd been at this for years, smaller stuff, never this bold. Court was, well, it was satisfying. Marcus brought the receipts, video letters, the map blown up for everyone to see. Karen tried to argue community cohesion until the judge deadpan said, "This is a question of property law and criminal fraud." Guilty on all counts. Karen, 9 years. Her board members took plea deals, one got 6 months. The HOA dissolved their insurance, dropped them. A state audit scorched everything down to the roots. By the time it was over, the place felt like it could breathe again. A few weeks later, I got a letter, $320,000 in damages, legal fees, and punitive sanctions against the HOA and Karen personally. Neighbors started waving instead of glaring. Mark brought a 6-pack and said he'd never seen anyone stand up to her like that. I built a new fence, bolted up a sign, "Private property, non-HOA, no access." Underneath, just for laughs, a smaller one, "Hello, Karen." Rex got a new cedar doghouse. Me, I kept the curtains open, liking the way the trees looked at dusk, free wild, untouched by suburban nonsense. You want a moral? Here's what I learned the hard way. Bullies thrive on silence, but silence is a choice. Document everything, stand your ground, and don't be afraid to call out insanity when it's right in front of you. The system isn't always fast, but when it kicks in, it has weight. And here's what I'd ask you. Where's the line between protecting a community and abusing power? At what point does order become tyranny? You ever had to fight for what was already yours, just because someone thought their rules mattered more than your rights? Drop your own stories below. Ever tangled with an HOA, a power trip, a neighbor who didn't know where their boundary ended? Tell me where you stand on justice, right and wrong, and what you'd have done in my shoes. Because out here, the law is only as strong as the folks willing to enforce it, and the rest of us, well, we're just trying to go home at the end of the day and sleep with the windows open, knowing nobody's coming for our peace.